Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here. And on the other end of all this is Ben Bakken, Senior Vice President of TriStar Bank. His office is housed here in Lansing, Michigan, but of course TriStar all over the state. And Ben, welcome to the show. It's good to have you on, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, it's great to be here, Chris. Great to see you again, virtually this time, but good to see you.
Yeah, well, I'm much better virtually than in person. Ben, let's talk about TriStar Bank, because sometimes a bank might even be a misnomer for what you guys are.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. We are a state chartered bank. As a wealth management firm, there are very different structures in terms of how those are set up: financial advisors, brokers, RIAs. But we are a state chartered bank, and we are one of a handful of state chartered banks that do not lend and do not offer deposit accounts. All we do is what we do well, which is trust services and wealth management. So there's over 120 state chartered banks, and there's 6 that are like TriStar, where we do have a Michigan state charter, but again, it's for wealth management and for trust services, as well as our institutional clients with the 401ks that we do. But Chris, you'll remember the days of, the old bank and trust. Everything was bank and trust services. Well, over time, many financial institutions decided that the banking lending side was just more profitable than the trust services. So you saw a lot of those banks moving away from the trust side. It really speaks to how we were founded 20 years ago. So we're going to celebrate our 20th anniversary here coming up in about a month. When we were founded 20 years ago, there was an MSU grad, estate planning attorney named Larry Preston, who was out of the Saginaw market. And he liked referring his clients that he was doing estate planning work to have a corporate trustee, and he liked sending them to a trust bank because you knew that there was going to be some stick-to-itiveness with that. Well, as a lot of those banks started moving away from the trust services, you didn't have that. He then partnered up with Gene Pickelman, who headed wealth management for a Michigan-based mid-sized bank. And Gene Pickelman said, from an investment standpoint, I really like being completely objective with the funds that I'm recommending, and for the way that I'm recommending that my clients diversify their portfolios and the way they allocate their investments. But at that time, you might have had a proprietary fund. This is this proprietary fund or that proprietary fund, where you would see compensation coming back the other way. And then you weren't being objective in terms of the funds that you were recommending. So that's really the formation of TriStar. We want a trust bank, and we want a completely objective wealth management firm. So that was kind of the idea, and that's why we structured the way that we did as a trust bank and also wealth management firm 20 years ago. And we're still that way today.
Well, the fact is that people have to realize that as a bank, you deal with a whole lot of other banks.
Correct.
They're your clientele as well. And the other thing is, I think a lot of investment firms, and I've seen this in my own investing, will come to you with, this is the hot deal of the month.
Right.
Because corporate said, these are stocks we want to move. And
right.
you don't fall into that bailiwick at all.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The question is, for your financial professional, your wealth management firm, understand how they're compensated. If they're compensated at the point of transaction where they call you up and say, hey, Chris, I've got this really great investment in this really great fund, I can tell you right now that at the point of transaction, there's revenue generated from that, okay? Many more times than not. And so, whereas with a true fee-based wealth manager, we're managing money. And whether we recommend this portfolio manager or that portfolio manager, it doesn't affect our revenue in any way. All we receive revenue from is the fees that we charge our clients directly, so that that's that objectivity. That's when we use that word objective, we can really say that, because we don't generate revenue from any of the transactions that we do.
So Ben, tell me a little bit how you guys have been dealing with COVID-19.
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting year, to say the very least, without question. I mean, we at TriStar are a 43-person organization with 4 offices throughout the state. We have, before this all started, some ability for remote work, but for the most part, our organization, we're a relationship business. And so our staff was used to coming into the office. We meet with our clients face-to-face. We sit with each other face-to-face. That's what we were used to. So it was a pretty significant change when we made the decision to work remotely. And we did so before the governor's order. We just felt that it was the right thing to do. So when we did that, it was certainly a change for us in terms of how we adapted. But where I mentioned we're a 43-person organization, we actually had less employees than that at the start. We've grown here in 2020, despite those challenges. We've added new staff. We've brought on a lot of new clients. You would look at a relationship business, which is what we are. And there were several months out of the year where we weren't allowed to be face-to-face with our clients, and still today only do that on a very limited basis. But yet we're still ahead of our pace toward hitting our revenue goal. So that really
Ben,
speaks to the way that we.
that is absolutely amazing stuff. I got about 30 seconds left. What do your clients need to know right now? What would you tell them?
The big thing is to relax and calm down, is what we would say. For those clients who got their March 31st statement sometime in April and they panicked and pulled their money out of the market, they missed the rebound. For those clients that stayed stable, even though it was scary because the Dow dropped about a third in the first 3 months of the year, for those that got their June 30th statement sometime in July, most of those clients were right back to where they were. Now we're heading into an election and people are scared about the election and what's going to happen to the markets. We tell people to listen to the advice from your financial professional, work closely with them, be a long-term investor, and over time, elections and who's in the presidency don't truly drive stock market performance. So don't overreact, don't stare at Bloomberg all day and panic based on the day-to-day changes in the market.
Bad time for knee-jerk reactions, absolutely.
Right.
Ben Bakken, Senior Vice President with TriStar Bank. Thanks for being with us, my friend. And thanks to all of you out there for watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman.